Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Olivia, and I'm part of the TIFF Next Wave Committee, the team who has programmed this incredible festival for you all. And I'd like to welcome you today to our Young Creator Showcase. So to begin, we'd like to acknowledge that today's event is taking place on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of the New Credit and the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and the Huron-Wendat. We are very grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community. We'd like to thank our lead sponsor, Bell, and our major sponsors, RBC, L'Oreal Paris, and Visa. Thank you also to our major public supporters, the City of Toronto and the Ontario Arts Council, for their ongoing support. The TIFF Next Wave Committee is supported by the Slate Family Foundation Learning Fund. And of course, we'd like to thank our members and those donors for their generous contributions to TIFF and those who support our programs all year round. We'd also like to thank all the creators who contributed their work for this showcase today. If you're wondering how to get up on this stage as well, TIFF is actually accepting applications for the 2019-2020 Next Wave Committee. It's a group of 12 high school students like myself who get to tag films for this festival and also for the September festival. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely check out tiff.net/nextwave in the weeks following the festival for those applications. Now, I'm very excited to introduce this showcase as I feel it really embodies the spirit of Next Wave. We're all about featuring and promoting the up and coming, what's next. And with young creators in particular, the stories that they tell are very diverse and powerful, and I hope that this selection really shows how engaging our voices can be. So without further ado, this is the Young Creator Showcase.
Good afternoon. My name is Ikoro, and I'm one of the programmers here at TIFF Next Wave who helped curate today's lineup of incredible short films. I'm really excited to have so many of the filmmakers in the audience with us today who are going to join us for a Q&A. There are volunteers in the audience with mics who will get them to you if you have a question. Just raise your hand really high. And if you could just wait till the mic gets you to ask your question so that we can all hear it. I'd like to invite the filmmakers to join me on stage now. Thanks. So I'll start by asking what inspired or motivated each of you to tell the story you did in your film?
Okay, I don't know. I'm Callahan. I made Socks. My film I kind of made surrounding like a fear of intimacy, but then like also contending with like the inevitability of closeness. So
Yeah, and say your name and the film that you're here with as well. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tessa. My film was Things We Do When We're Alone. And this film kind of came to me when I was trying to figure out, what it meant to be alone and like occupy space radically. And I think like for me as a young woman and in the way that young women are usually depicted in the media, it's like you're usually the object of someone's attention or you're vying after someone and there isn't a lot of space shown like what it actually means to be by yourself and love that and be by yourself. So yeah, snaps. So this film for me was kind of the song was super important and it's from the soundtrack of this film called 20th Century Women. Also a good film. And it was important for me in terms of figuring out like what does it mean to just like be myself and also be amazing while doing it. So showing the different women in that process. That's my inspiration.
Hey, I'm Sebastian. I directed I Am I Am. I was based around kind of experiences of my friends and sort of stuff in my family, and then just came out of kind of wanting to create more conversation around that and, yeah, discuss some issues at the school that I was going to at the time.
Hi, I'm Emma. I made Shiva Baby, and I made it, I guess I was inspired by a lot of Shivas I went to growing up. And then I met a lot of sugar babies in university, so I just wanted to combine those two things.
Hi, I'm Carol. I made Every Grain of Rice, and this film came to me after I moved away to university for the first time, and I realized how far away I felt from my culture and my home. So I made that as a piece to that.
My name's Adrienne. I did lady strips. And I wanted to make a film that talked about objectification, but that might reach some people that weren't already thinking about it.
Hey, I'm Alex. I made the stairs, and I just want to explore different everyday lives of different types of families.
Hi, I'm Praj. I made the film called Bali Singh, the movie about the kid with a turban. When I was in college, I had a best friend who had a turban, and he would wear a beanie over it. And every time I wore a beanie, he would give me shit about it. So it was just kind of a joke between us. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Valentina, and I made Memories. And the reason I did it was because I saw a lot of stuff on the news about like the wall with Trump and everything. And I have family in the States, and it like really irks me out seeing that. So I just try to make a film about that and like what would be the situation if you actually had a sibling and you were separated from them, and that what if situation was that film. And yeah.
Hi, my name is Marley. My film was Nana. The main hope for the film was that it would be like funny and quirky, something people can laugh to. But the main purpose was to strengthen the bond between my grandma and I. And that was like, it was such a fun film to shoot, and everyone was just, having fun. And it really did strengthen our bond. And so she's here tonight. So love you, Nana.
Hi, my name's Morgana, and I shot and directed Wild, which was the period piece that played at the beginning. And honestly, I just really wanted to make Wild because I really wanted to make a period piece that wasn't what people think of as period pieces. I think people think of them as these kind of like dry, visually desaturated, boring things. And I wanted to do something that was hyper stylized. And I also love working with children. And I thought the idea of this little girl befriending something that is way more powerful and possibly destructive, but through her eyes, it's a friendship. I thought exploring that would be really cool. So yeah.
I want to open up questions to the audience. If you guys have any questions, you can raise your hands and a volunteer will get a mic to you. In the middle.
Oh God, this is my worst nightmare. I guess this is like an open question for any of the filmmakers, but I think that this was a really great representation of how much diversity and how many different stories we have to tell in Canada. And I just want to ask, like, being a young filmmaker in this industry, how do you feel about entering into the industry with, these films and the goals that you have to bring what makes you different to the industry? I don't know if that is clear. Is that clear?
Yeah, I think the question is like, as a young filmmaker, what are you hoping to bring to the industry, especially, like starting out? And Morgana, if you want to start, and then we can pass that on.
Yeah, sure. No, I think I don't think this is really a science. It's art. It's subjective. Everyone does it differently. And I think for me, I'm always just trying to challenge myself and try new things. And I never really want to look at any project like there's a cookie cutter right way to do it. And I think especially with Wild, I really just kind of wanted to break that idea that people have that there's a right way to do film. I think it really depends on who you are, and I think it makes you the best filmmaker that you can be. And if you can just show that through your work, then I think you're a shoo-in. So.
I'm kind of hoping to bring a sense of realness, but also like a sense of possibility to the world with the films that I make. Just that idea of anything being possible in the medium of film is the way I like thinking and working, and I really want to share that with everyone.
I guess for me, it's mainly like hope and relatability. I feel like a lot of the time, like you see movies and you're like, oh, great. Like, I'm sure that's something that someone else would relate to. But when you don't see that like through yourself, like you want to see more of that. So yeah, that's just what I'm hoping to do. Like that some other Latina little girl will like see my movies and be like, great, this is fantastic. Like I can relate to that. And yeah.
Yeah, I have a similar reason, not being a Latina girl, but I just I want to make films that I want to watch. So just stuff that I can relate to, and stories about people with POCs, stuff that you don't really see like in mainstream media. Just bringing my stories out there.
Yeah, and I think we're really lucky to have platforms like this and programs like TIFF Next Wave that let us tell these type of stories. So that's like a big thank you to everyone here for that. I think probably from all of us, because otherwise that wouldn't be possible. So really, it's a big part of like having support systems like this that let you do what you actually want to do.
I want to trick people into thinking about stuff they don't normally think about.
I want to continue telling stories about Asian Canadians and spreading diversity through representation. But honestly, I'm still in university. I have no idea like what lies ahead, so I'm pretty freaking scared.
I think I just want to tell relatable stories that are hopefully humorous and also uncomfortable, because that's how life feels. So,
I think everyone kind of said it, like tell like empathetic stories, create empathy between people, just kind of show, I don't know, whoever's out there that like other people live and think in the same way that you do. But honestly, also just like get my friends paid and like survive too.
Yeah, I'm in my last year of high school, so I don't really know what is gonna happen. But yeah, I really want to continue telling complex and interesting stories, and specifically like unapologetically like feminist and queer stories. And just I would hope that the industry is making room for that. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like 4 years old. The industry's terrifying. Like, that's it.
There. All the way in the back there.
Hi, my question is for women's strips. Sorry. I loved it, and I thought I understood it, but then I thought maybe I don't understand it. So I thought I got it like, oh wow, the parts that are objectified are usually, okay, like the genitals and the breasts and then the face. So you're going to strip off all the skin of like the arms and the legs, and then just leave those parts, and then it's like, oh, well, you're only paying attention to these parts, but really when you take the other stuff away in the periphery, then that changes it. But then you took away the face, and I thought, well, then I don't quite understand it. So what were you trying to, like, what is the, are you trying to communicate a difference in objectification between the breasts and the genitals, which you left the skin on, and the face, which you took the skin off? Or am I completely missing it?
The old, why didn't you rip off the boobs question. I still don't quite know how to answer that one. I guess I felt that it would be more of like a violent action. I don't really know why. But yeah, I don't know.
Adrian, can I ask how the idea came to you? Because it's a really obviously unique idea that I've never seen before. So,
I honestly don't really know. I've spent about 3 months in concept and pre-production, and I went through so many different iterations of films that were completely different than this. And then one day I just thought of it, and I'm like, that's the film I'm gonna make. Yeah, it's like something that I can relate to and that a lot of other women I know can relate to, so I wanted to make it.
Do we have other questions in the audience? Yeah.
Sebastian, right? I have a question about I Am. It really resonated with me, and I really loved it. But I was wondering what the significance of the handy cam had to the main character and how it affected the ending.
Yeah, for sure. The handycam was mostly to do with, it was like a way of kind of showing that character Freddie's sort of sense of self-expression. And it felt like it kind of made sense for the character to be using a camera because they aspired to be a filmmaker. And it was a way to embody that sense of like confusion with identity and sense of self. The film primarily is about like how you feel, before and after sort of traumatic incidents. And so using a way of like self-analyzing and looking at oneself seemed like an appropriate approach to that. As well at the end with that sort of, at least I wanted the end to be kind of confrontational and sort of like push everything onto the audience and make them feel in a way, you know, how do I fit into this? How am I responsible or a part of this? And so just having the character stare right into the camera and then stare at us felt like an appropriate approach to that. But yeah, that's basically where the handy camera comes in. And in the middle, when Freddie is looking at the camera, it's very much like, I don't know if it reads, but they're meant to be looking at the footage that they shot at the beginning of the film. So it's sort of like remembering back to, you know, one's identity before this has happened. Who was I? Who am I right now? And then who will I be in the future kind of thing, which is also kind of where the title comes from. So does that make sense? Cool.
Thanks. Yeah, right up front here.
This is a question for Wild. I was curious about, this is one of the films here that uses more than one language, French and English in this case, and I was curious about I don't know whether or not you speak French or not, but I was curious how you would direct the actors in these two languages and what you would, you know, to make sure it's authentically portrayed, or perhaps, you know, in the case of certain characters, maybe not so well spoken.
Yeah, the French aspect. Initially, the film was in English, and then the lead actress, Nev, who I think may actually be here today, possibly, maybe. Nope. Oh, yep, back. She's small, so I don't know if anyone can see her, but she's up there. I worked with her on a music video the year prior, and I kind of started to think about the possibility of doing Wild with her. And Nev speaks French, and the idea of introducing the idea of a language barrier, I guess, really stuck with me, and it fit for the character because she is so isolated and no one around her really understands her, just on her own. I kind of felt like that language aspect would help kind of pack a bigger punch. When it actually came down to executing the film, things got complicated when, in our casting session, when we were casting Ben, everyone that came in, for whatever reason, only spoke English. And we were on a very tight timeline, and these were the only actors that we had. So we picked David, who played Ben, and basically had to figure out, okay, like, this guy does not speak French. He has to deliver these French lines. How do we introduce this? So we changed the character around a little bit to have a little bit of a backstory and call him out for the fact that he isn't French speaking and he is English speaking first, and trying to bring in again that whole idea of language. But I mean, the majority of our crew was French, and I basically did a pass on the script where I brought on another writer, a francophone writer, who did a full pass on the dialogue, and that took about a month of going back and forth and fine tweaking. And even on the day, we were still changing lines on the day, and I'd have crew members arguing, going like, no, that isn't how she would say that. She would say it like this, or the hands line, the pronunciation of that. So it was something that we put a lot of detail and work into. And I still think it's a little bit unfortunate that we had to make that change of a character for Ben. I think I would have preferred to not have that. For the sake of a short film, it's kind of hard to go into backstory for. But yeah, it was a long process.
Thanks, Morgana. Another question in the audience?
I had a question for Prod. I was wondering, for your main character, he has like these kind of insecurities about the way he looks and in relation to the girl he likes, and so he has what I got from the film is that he had an issue with his turban and the way like he sees all these other like 8 famous actors and he doesn't look like that. So I was wondering why you made the decision not to, like, I know when a lot of people are thinking about assimilation, they think of just like looking as similar as possible. So like, why didn't you have him take off his turban? Instead, he just puts a beanie on. So like, what was the kind of thought process behind that and why you made that decision?
Well, honestly, like, since it was based on my friend, a lot of it was just like that he would put a turban on himself. And the main character struggle is just trying to fit in with like conventional ideas of beauty and like trying to maintain his like Indian heritage and Sikh heritage. So I didn't want him to change so much that he would just like leave his heritage behind and like completely shave off his beard or take his turban off. But I wanted to show him like struggling to fit in with the rest of society and just his friends, and to be cool in a comedic way, and I just thought the beanie would be the way to do that.
Cool. We're almost out of time, but I want to ask you guys what projects you have coming next, or what you're working on or thinking about.
I don't know.
Cal, you make so many words. You can answer.
I don't know why he said that. We're in the same film program, so we have like our final final film of high school that we have to make soon. So at least that's what I'm doing. I hope you're also doing it. And yeah, I think so. I'm doing that, and I'm trying to tell the story of like two like girls in the beginning of a new relationship, but also kind of how they become separated both like emotionally and through distance and time, and kind of how to like deal with that and deal with communication. So that's what I'm gonna do.
The producer that did this film with me, she and I just submitted, Maeve, she's right there, she's an amazing producer. She and I just submitted an application to Telefilm's Talent to Watch program, so hopefully that works out. And if it does, we're telling this like kind of weird story of some kids that live in rural Ontario and like dirt bike and smoke weed and stuff like that, so that'll be fun.
I'm trying to make a longer version of this, of Shiva Baby. So that's my next thing.
How's that going?
It's going well. I'm learning a lot. Features are tough, but yeah, it's fun.
I'm in the process of picture locking my next film. It's an experimental documentary about secrets, confessions, and confrontation.
Leaving us on edge. I love it.
I just wrapped up a music video for a local band called Possum, and it's about a spaceman and a bear summoning a fire woman, and then she defeats them. And I'm about to start work on another animation that's a comedy about climate change.
I'm following an Indigenous couple who are a lesbian couple who are having a surrogate for their baby and having a natural birth. And luckily we got support from the National Screen Institute. So I fly out tonight for 2 weeks for that. So it should be interesting.
I don't know, man. I'm struggling out here. I'm trying to make it, you know. Yeah, I'm making videos. I'm always making stuff. I made like this little interview web series thing, but like no one's watched it. It's online, but
what's it called?
Oh, it's called Last Bus. So check it out. It's on YouTube. Yeah, so I guess I'm in pre-production for like a bunch of stuff, but I'm not really intensively working on anything right now.
Right now I'm doing like this little docu-series on like upcoming indie musicians in Toronto and other places. So I mean, if you got a band or someone, please hit me up. I would love to get more people on it. And then I'm also like on the side doing like this cookbook on my own, and I want to like add like an accompaniment of like videos to it. And yeah.
I'm in my first year at Ryerson for film. So one of the assignments was adding Foley to a silent film shot with a Bolex camera. So it was my first time working with one of those old cameras. So it's been quite an experience, but I'm hoping it turns out pretty great. So far, so good.
I feel like I'm project hopping right now. So there's a few things going on, but I'm hoping to do a proof of concept for a feature over the summer. So we'll see how that goes. But I feel like the takeaway here is that features are tough. So we'll see. And then aside from that, I have a lot of documentary projects coming up. I'm doing like an experimental doc, which I've never directed one before, but I've shot a lot. So I'll be doing that mid-March, and yeah, it'll be good.
I want to thank all of you so much for sharing these stories with us, and thank you for everybody who came out to watch them. There's lots of other screenings going on today, so check out the other festival screenings at TIFF Next Wave, and there's also the Where Now exhibition, which is happening in the Learning Studios. It's a really cool installation, so check that out as well. Thanks so much.